A couple of miscellaneous bits and a fire extinguisher. This car, well, she's become a commuter now. I've driven her more in the last 24 hours than I have in the last 24 months. Well, you could say 24 years as well. Finally got the correct shocks in, and they are the KYB oils, which are not like the gas that rebound automatically. The oil will just sort of sit in whatever position it ends at. Unfortunately, you have to reuse your metal sleeve here, and because the bushings on mine were worn out, the sleeve was showing a little bit of damage. This is how I press the sleeve into that bushing. If you don't have a hydraulic press, use the long bolt for the lower arm, stick it through, and then have the bushing or the metal sleeve will stick out about here, and then take an old shock absorber, push it all the way and squeeze until you get 2 or 3 threads, which is all it takes to then start this bolt, essentially pressing it all the way through. This is free to rotate. Now, the reason it's important to have the sleeve is because this side is flared out and this side is flared down to fit in the bushing. The side that's flared out fits over this little guy. Pushing the shock up, very little resistance on those oil shocks. Now my suspension is officially complete. Another big storm is coming today, so I'm hoping to have some wiper arms and horns, and then I can go out for a drive. Currently tracking down oil leaks. You won't believe what I find. Probably 10 miles of driving, and we've got an oil stream going down the exhaust pipe. Oof. It comes up to the overdrive unit. Now, that's 3 for 3 on leaky overdrives. Every time I rebuild them, they seem to leak. And it appears to be coming from right up there, that bolt. There's no sealer for these. I mean, I could add some like goopy stuff, but all of that should be sealed by these 2 gaskets here. It's nice to know where it's coming from, so I can at least try to ameliorate that issue. Now, the other leak up front, I'm looking at the oil pan bolts on the side. Otherwise, it's the rear main seal. It's a brand new seal. Everything's been replaced, guys. This is frustrating, but what do I say? Old cars keep you humble, especially with these oil leaks. So I was doing some braining just now, and I think I know what's going on. When the engine revs and it flexes, it goes that way, which is exactly where it's hitting the stud. And that stud hitting the tunnel is probably flexing because the nut's hitting, it's flexing the stud a little bit, and it's allowing fluid to escape from there. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to put the old mount on, which I know is a smaller, skinnier mount, and just see if it clears a little bit more on that cross member. I've already spaced it, I've already drilled it, and I've already filed it, and honestly, I'm kind of over that cross member mount problem, but we're close, and you know, I don't want to have a big leak like that constantly, because it'll smoke up the exhaust, it'll dirty up the underside of the car, and I just don't like leaks in general. On my 122, I'm having to refill the overdrive because of a similar issue of an oil leak every, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 miles, because the overdrive starts cutting out, and that's when I'm like, oh, time to top it off, and it's about a half a quart, but still, that's 25% of its total capacity. Fog light fixed. Horns are connected. Only getting one side.
I wish I could just make you turn around and see me cry.
I forgot to torque my lug nuts. I redid the connection here because it got loose again. And if you look in there, you can see everything's nice and greased up again. I added a lock washer and some blue Loctite, so that should be very stiff. Originally, the only thing holding the bolt and the nut from loosening is the nut is squeezed in 3 places. I didn't have it all the way tight because you don't want to put pressure on those balls as they rotate. And that's where the Mercedes green anti-friction bearing grease comes into play. So now that that's all there, I'm gonna torque my wheels down and then go for a little bit of a drive, enjoy the evening. I'm gonna keep these around because they might be handy while I'm welding the shock plates. You know, something in there to help the distance set up straight. So if you folks are ever in Albuquerque, you'll probably recognize this big gold dome that you see. And I was trying to have them look at this muffler rear resonator because, well, she needs some exhaust work, but I got an appointment made for next week, and hopefully she stays on the road until that time. Had a nice round of morning trips, and this is how you treat me? 300,000 miles on these mud flaps. I mean, just take a moment and think about the history that these things have seen in the last 50 years. I could be scrubbing asphalt from a Chicago pothole. I could be scrubbing poop from a bison in Yellowstone National Park. I should be so lucky. Sorry, Mom. But I would be honored to have bison poo on my mud flaps. Better than I found it. Aziz, light. Tell you what, though, it's nice to see somebody else working on my car instead of me.
Oh. There, Michael.
This thing's got some torque.
Good for breaking the subframe bolts.
What'd you call it? Your super tough guy shirt?
I should have. I'd fit in. So, yeah, this place, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Bombshell Brewery. One more spot. Time for a Shapey Shaperton.
Can you find a robot recording of the voice when she says, "So, I heard you like puzzles"? Thanks.
Hi.
Hee hee.
I just need the Sharpie, not the stick.
Oh yes, we primered it first. Ooh.
Hey, buddy, can
Yeah.
you hand me my hood?
To make life a little easier on the other side, I started drilling out the spot welds. But you know, we're dealing with some dull bits here. And that's not just an insult to my intelligence, but it'll do for these canopy-shaped mechanics. Ooh. Let me see what you got. Oh, that's beautiful, dude.
Ah,
That's better than factory.
Eh,
Yeah, that's better than factory.
eh.
All right, carry on. Hold it. Hey, ladies.
This size hole in car. Okay. I have to cut, slice downward.
There she goes. Nice.
Beautiful.
Good work. I'm going to attempt to describe to you exactly what it is that fails and why these are also rusty on every 1 Series car. 3 layers of metal and only the outer two are painted. That's my best guess. You see the big chunks in here? You see right there those big chunks? And you can see right here how they're all sandwiched together. So I've hammered these two open, and those pieces, well, this is the intermediate layer that unfortunately has zero rust protection. And so any moisture that gets in between starts to deteriorate these. And as rust builds and is very corrosive, it extends out and continues to eat until, even in dry weather climates, like where this car lived for the last 30 years, probably its whole life actually, there's really not much you could do to get to it. You just have to cut it out and put a new piece in.
Yanked out like something like 14 or 15 cars out of at various different points.
Let me see. Like a glove?
Wow.
Ish.
Metal glove solid.
No, glove, good. On, plate.
Don't scratch my car. Thanks. Okay. Man's got to do his business in private. Hey, what do you got there? I want to smell.
Very plugged armor can.
Oh, yeah. And it begins. Fire watch is on. Hit me. Well, I mean, don't. I could see those hammer marks. Mind the window.
So I'm just gonna put a tack weld here and maybe here. But I got this all the way around and all the way up the other side, just like on the other side.
It was fun.
Way more welded than the original.
Yep. All right.
Weld them good.
And a few tack welds inside. She's good. Time for some goop.
Like I said, I'll try to be by there. If I drop the selector off, then I'll grab the scrap metal.
A seldom overlooked thing, but nonetheless, I should remind myself, and I guess you, sweep the path out the driveway and then get the rest later, because there's gonna be lots of little sharp metal pieces from our trimmings and our rusty cutouts. So we don't want those in our fresh new tires. So my common sense intuition would say that these screw holes go on the bottom, but then Volvo goes ahead and confuses us with the logo facing upright that way. And it looks like this is the lower or the smaller portion of the steering wheel when you're looking at both halves. The horn tells all. The screw holes are there, and now it's upside down. Yay, me.
Still in America.
So this is my first time taking Ivy out, and there's nothing quite like a nice old, I don't know what you call it, not really a rat rod, but like a two-tone 240 to basically make the 164 look really good. But there's nothing worse than having a perfectly shined E30 next to you to make the 164 look bad. But it's okay, because Ivy, she's just happy to be here, you know? She's alive. Anyway, it gave me a little bit of trouble with some oil leaks earlier, but it's all there. I like my little dash pad, the magnets, got seats, floor mats. Everything's working out really nicely. That's just hanging on my vent. And yep, there's the freshly welded rear shock mounts, sway bar connections at the bottom. And the rear panel that I did, all the interior pieces from Amy. Everything's there, man. It's working out. I need to get one of these for sure, because both of the ones I have rock hard little rubbers on them. Now, you guys want to know about the 240? This is Larry. This was actually my very, very first Volvo. So it's funny how we've kind of gone full circle here. Oh, full circle. Hey, how are you? Yeah. What was the name of the engine again? It wasn't an LS6 or it wasn't LS6?
It's LS2.
Because you pieced it together a little bit.
I mean, it's a LS frame.
LS2. There it is. She's a riot. All right, there's some other cool stuff here, but you know, this is how New Mexico does cars and coffee. Instead of having 8 a.m. on a Sunday, they do it 7 p.m. on a Friday. If you're curious how this fits up against a 240, this is a 78 242. Look at the rear bumpers. The noses are lined up, but the bumper, another 6 inches or so, maybe 8. And then here on the front, yeah, they're lined up okay. So Nick's folks, Bob and Jackie, shout out to them. They were just around here, but I think they're heading home. They had asked the question, what is this badge from? And I haven't formally asked you guys, so anybody out there can give me some information, that would be really great. Also, bomb tacos. A bit late in the evening for coffee, but I need to trim the choke cable, and I need to trim the vacuum hoses, and I don't need to tell anybody else that but you folks. Actually, I got to get rid of these blue hoses, but... Bro, are you serious? You got it? See you tomorrow. 2003. Okay. Shine a little light on that. Oh my goodness.
Look at the turbo.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the turbo.
I had a pretty bad power steering leak, so I pulled the pump out, and... No, I didn't pull the pump. I pulled the reservoir, and this is the reservoir here. From this being an empty shell, the first thing that goes in is a spacer of some sort of fiber or wood material, and then on top of that is this fella with the spring. So this will come out, otherwise you'll spill a bunch of fluid like I did. So these hoses, there's 2 lines that go to it, both low pressure, I'm guessing, because they don't have these high compression fittings on them. But this one is pretty cracked up, and this one was a little bit worse. The trouble is, they're not so easy to replace. I think with this line, it does actually have some pivot right here, which is okay, I guess. It's not leaking there, but it's going to be difficult to replace that. I'll have to have a high pressure fitting made. That'll be an expensive piece to make. The second hose goes here, and thankfully there's enough slack on both where you can cut just the ends off and hope to get a better seal. This is still a little gummy. Yeah, so I've got hope. This is the high pressure line, the one that goes up over the booster. And you see how it has a high pressure, there it is, fitting on both sides. So the others are just the low pressure lines. One other cool thing is that I got the sticker to clean up a little bit using these tub of towel wipes. Tubbo towel. It's like an Irish tub. It actually kept the letters, which is cool because I scrubbed pretty hard because I had painted over half of it and the other half was just in some dirt. ATF type A, check oil level when pump is running. Well, today I can finally finish the interior. I'm so excited to put the seats back in after all these months. Fingers crossed that nothing will interfere with the sway bar here. Look, it's all car now. Don't mind the sunburned shoulders. Happens every time you vacation in Miami. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and rule out my brake servo as not working. Listen to this. Yep, I'm gonna need a booster. Check it out. Our idle's really good right now. 13.5, 13.6. That's me tuning it by ear, everybody. Cool, let's go for a drive. Man, I'm bummed out about that booster, but you know, I guess I was prepared. Wow, it sounds like that booster got worse. Or I'm just driving without headphones, I don't know. No, it's the windows. The windows are up, dude, and the seats are in, and the car's quiet, so I hear everything now. Coasting about 50, 52 miles an hour. My speedometer cable broke because I yanked on it in the wrong way when I got caught up in the transmission cross-member adjustments. So I'm just gonna run over and grab some dinner, and I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I'm just enjoying the car now that the interior is complete, and I guess I can move on to other checks, like this one here. This is sort of a mid-range, somewhat courageous drive as I'm just coasting in overdrive for a little bit at moderate speeds before I decide to hit the highway. If I don't catch any lights, I will probably be on this for 5 miles, maintaining speed, warming things up like the rear axle bearings, warming things up, differential maybe. If there's a problem, I want to find out now before I hit the road, which is exactly 7 days from now to go to California. And then a big road trip. So we're doing okay, coasting, we're good, right at 13.3. I'm happy with these numbers. It seems like a sensor was all that we needed. So $90 later, not so bad, huh? Tomorrow I drop the car off for its first non-David service, and I've still got a leak on the carburetors. In fact, I could smell it all throughout the garage. So it's getting pretty ripe. I gotta fix that cold start valve, also known as the choke, but it's not just the choke. Everyone else okay? I was complaining about the Volvo having the front and rear different heights, and you know what? It looks like Ford is doing the same thing here. Look at this whole T-bird, nice and squatty in the rear, and it shows a lot more of the front. Ooh, I spy. I just can't believe I never noticed this, but here's an example. This is a 240. The trim line is narrow at the front and straighter at the rear. So you see less tire in the rear, more tire gap in the front. Just for fun though, this is a B230, this is a B21 FT, and it's got 386,000 on the clock. But kind of a cool car otherwise. Soren's being a good assistant today. And there's our
Now we load the aluminum.
supervisor.
There you go.
It's like a Volvo paradise, maybe. Look at all these. B6284T. Do your little turn on the catwalk, baby. On the catwalk, yeah. So it's fun. It's fun for me to see some of the consumables of car parts from a shop, because you've got engine mounts, nice big crack in there, exhaust pipes, air conditioning lines, lower control arm bushings. Here's another motor mount. When the weight's on these, the cable will sag pretty badly. But that cable, I think, is there to prevent a rubber rip out / full release of the mount. You've got tensioners, the bearings for it. This manifold here is from a Hyundai, but it's got internal butterflies, and I wonder if they have worn the shaft or if it's probably just cracked somewhere. More lower control arms. You know, the stickers stay on them. All the aluminum gets recycled here. There's a fan clutch, water pumps. Things like axle shock absorbers, lots of condensers and radiators. So, yeah, this is just the usual stuff.
Hiding stuff?